What's going on? Welcome to episode number 1 of the Look Mum, I'm Hustling podcast. My name's Drew.
I'm Sarah.
And we're here to bring you guys a podcast. We've done a podcast before. We'll get into that a bit later, but we've been doing YouTube for about 18 months now under the Look Mum, I'm Hustling name. And we've sort of done a rebranding recently this year for 2021.
Yeah, we decided just to cut it back, make it super simple, and just call our YouTube Drew and Sarah. But we really love the name Look Mum Hustling, so we decided to keep it for the podcast.
Yeah, we couldn't lose it. A lot of people that follow us love the name. I love the name. But yeah, we needed to broaden up our YouTube channel to a bit more personal vlog type stuff. So yeah, we've rebranded the YouTube channel as Drew and Sarah. And yeah, we've got a podcast for you guys now.
Yeah, well, the main reason why we decided to change it was that although that we do love thrifting and we do love reselling, it's not really the only thing that we do. And we're finding with our limited time that we couldn't just bring purely thrifting content. So we thought, you know what, why not showcase what we do outside of thrifting? So everyday lives, like a big part of what we do is probably something I'm super proud of that we do is budgeting is a really cool thing. We love upcycling, DIYing furniture to save, well, pretty much just to save money in general.
Save money and to give ourselves little projects and stuff. But yeah, I'm pretty excited for the podcast. We have set up this room, decked it out pretty nice. So if you're only listening to this, jump over to YouTube and subscribe to the channel so you can see the video version. But yeah, I think it's pretty exciting.
Yeah, I'm super happy with the space that we set up. I actually had so much fun filming the setup as well. We've got like a beautiful background. For those that aren't watching us on YouTube and just listening to us, just imagine the nice vibe that we have going on in the room.
Well, they can actually see us setting up the room in the next week's YouTube episode. So yeah, you can see us setting it up and the lights and everything and the time and thought that went into it. But that's sort of the direction that we're taking the YouTube channel and the podcast. A bit more of a personal approach, basically.
Yeah, definitely. And another thing that we really wanted to do is maximize the time that we do have. So we might be doing 4 to 5 things in one day, really. Yeah.
And then we're trying to slim it down and do just the reselling stuff in the video. So should we talk about
who we are?
Who we are, maybe?
Yeah, why not? All right, so my name, as you probably already know, is Sarah. But I've been probably reselling with Drew for about, it's like 2 years now, pretty much. Yeah, the first 6 months were pretty much unofficial. But I also do work full-time, so I work about 40 hours a week in my main job. And what we really want to do is just save and look forward to the future. So that's what we're really focusing on 2021.
Yeah. And my name's Drew. I'm the better half of the Drew and Sarah partnership.
They always say that I'm the better half, but he's secretly the better half.
But yeah, I'm a nutritionist. I have a nutrition degree. I don't really practice that at the moment, but there's sort of an element of that I'd like to incorporate as well. We're both plant-based and we're more about sustainability and being frugal and living off secondhand items and stuff.
100%.
So basically, that's us and our story. We're just trying to find a way of melding our 4 or 5 passions into the one channel and podcast and sort of to show more of ourselves.
Yeah, exactly. And it's something that we get to do to spend time together as well. Because I know when you're doing your nutrition degree, it was quite solo and you're a bit lonely sometimes doing it all. But I really enjoy doing this with you because we get to spend time together. We're learning together. We're broadening our knowledge on all things, I guess, how to save, how to make money.
How to run a business.
Yeah, because we're just like 2 30-year-olds just trying to figure it out.
Trying to figure it out one day at a time.
Yeah.
So we have done a podcast before. I've actually done several, but together we've done one and it was pretty good, to be honest. We just didn't follow through and finalize it. So basically it was a Star Trek podcast. We are big Star Trek nerds and fans. And when Star Trek Discovery came out on Netflix about 3 years ago, we were like, let's just do a talk along podcast. So we basically play the episode and talk. We'll watch it and talk over the top.
Yeah, just our observations and like things that we found out because it was ages since they released a Star Trek TV series.
Show, yeah.
And we actually had our first date watching one of the Star Trek movies. So I thought it was quite fitting that we tried to do a podcast about it.
And it was a fun venture, but there wasn't that much scalability to it.
No, it was just Star Trek.
Unless we wanted to do an episode for every single Star Trek episode.
Yeah, which we thought about.
In which there are hundreds. Yeah. And it's a lot of time and a lot of editing and still quite niche. Especially considering the people that like truly love Star Trek would just frown upon us for like not knowing what we're talking about.
I know.
Or fumbling names and storylines and stuff like that. So yeah, like we have done it before. We did have fun doing it. But yeah, this is our opportunity to do it more and just talk about ourselves rather than a particular topic or TV show.
Yeah, and we just wanted to be super chill and laid back, just us to be able to rehash the week that we had, and just to share it with everybody else that's listening and watching on YouTube, just to show our journey and I guess how we live our lives. But you know, it's not advice or anything like that. It's just, you know, we like to show, I guess, the things that we've accomplished, the things that we've failed at as well, because we believe that a lot of people can learn from our own experiences that we had, and we just want to share it with everybody else.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't know, I just think that people will get a lot of value from these sort of longer format discussions. We were doing quite a few live streams over on YouTube.
Yeah, a lot of fun doing the live streams.
This is more of a
pre-recorded live stream.
Well, it's a pre-recorded live stream in a sense, but we're not using the chat to sort of determine the flow of topics and stuff like that. But it's just a loose, roughly 30 to 40 minute chat, I think is a good time frame for these episodes.
Yeah, I think so.
Cool. So let's just get into podcasts. Yeah. I mean, this is a podcast. Obviously, it's a video version. Thank you to those watching over on YouTube. What kind of podcasts do you listen to? Obviously, we share a lot
common interests
with each other and have common interests and stuff. What do you like about podcasts? What ones do you listen to? And yeah.
Yeah, I think for myself, you were actually the one that got me into podcasts. I think it was when we first started dating, and podcasts haven't been around, or they've been around for ages, but the popularity of podcasts has only been in the last 3 or 4 years, really. But he's like, have you heard of this thing called a podcast? I'm like, what is a podcast? And you're trying to explain it to me, and I thought you broke it down like it's like a radio, but online, like long format conversations. But what I started listening to, which I think everybody does, is that true crime rabbit hole.
I think I got you on Serial first.
Yes, it was. You're like, if you're going to start with any podcast, start with Serial. And that was just such a well done journalistic sort of story. Like I've never heard anything like it before, because I'm an avid reader and I love reading, but this was sort of like the first time where I was like, oh, it is almost like reading, but like I get to do things as well at the same time. That's another thing I love about podcasts, is being able to move around and, you know, do other tasks and do other jobs and stuff in the meantime while you're listening to cool stuff.
Yeah, and Serial Podcast is the exception. Like it is the creme de la creme of the podcast. Very high production, a lot of thought and time has gone into like interviewing the people featured in the episodes and editing, and a lot of research goes into a podcast like that. And obviously there are a lot more loose, unstructured ones out there, from comedy to business, whatever. But like you said, there's another way for the viewer or the listener to check out the content without being fixed to a screen like we were, we've been used to on YouTube. So people can, you know, drive and even listen to us while they're thrifting or working on their side hustle or whatever. So it's just another way of us sharing our content with you guys in audio form.
Yeah, and the fact that with podcasting you can pretty much look up any genre. There's just too many out there in a way. But whether you want to learn more on, like you said, finance, or you want to learn more on even improving things like how to create a podcast or create a YouTube channel, there's just so much information out there, and I just love the fact that we can now contribute to that podcasting world.
So other than Serial, what else do you listen to?
Other than Serial, so besides the deep dive, I do like a lot of conversational based ones. So I used to listen to a lot of like WTF by Mark Maron. Joe Rogan and stuff has pretty good ones here and there. It just depends who he's interviewing, I think. He has some really good scientists and stuff on there, which I quite enjoy. And the sci-fi, I like all the sci-fi ones. And that mushroom guy.
Mushroom guy?
Oh, the Paul Stamets, So I started listening to Joe Rogan because he interviewed Paul Stamets, which is like a leading researcher on fungi and mushrooms and things like that. And one of the characters in Star Trek Discovery was based on that dude. Right. The Mycelium Network or something like that.
Mycologist, I think it is the study of mushrooms. Could be wrong.
Yeah. But I also listen to a couple of finance ones, especially in the last couple of months. I've been doing a bit of a deep dive on finance and just really improving my money education, as they call it, and learning about money and everything, because what we get taught in school or by our parents might not necessarily be relevant to today's environment. It's heaps different now than what our parents were used to and everything. So I'm just really expanding my knowledge on that. Yep. Yeah, it's been interesting. Like I said, the amount of information that's out there is insane. I'm just trying to absorb it all.
Yep. So I guess we can do a little hit list almost of like people that may be new to podcast and maybe potentially where through our YouTube channel getting them into the podcast world. So we might do a little show notes in the description of the channel and on the website as well, just of some of the sort of podcasts and other resources and stuff that we're mentioning in this episode. So Serial is a big one. Like you said, Joe Rogan's probably the most notable and biggest.
He's probably the most famous podcaster out there. But for yourself, because I know you got me into a lot of different podcasts, is there anything that you're really listening to at the moment, or things that you've loved and finished?
I go back and forth between podcasts and audiobooks, to be honest. Obviously, audiobooks on Audible can be anywhere from between 8 and 20 hours.
Yeah, definitely.
So it's a bit more of a time commitment than a podcast, which is generally an hour-ish. But yeah, Joe Rogan I go on and off of. I really like you said, the financial ones. There's a lot in Australia that are popping up at the moment. So you have My Millennial Money.
Oh, Equity Mates, that's the one.
Equity Mates is really good if you're into investing and stocks and ETFs and stuff like that. Like I said, My Millennial Money have a few different podcasts. It's more of a network. So they have My Millennial Property. That's just based around personal finance and managing your money and investing in stocks and property and stuff like that. That's stuff we're really into at the moment. Now that we have all our debt and stuff under control. So there's some really big ones. But yeah, there's tons, too many to name. I listen to a few MMA ones from time to time, even though I'm not super into MMA, basketball ones. And like you said, occasionally the social media ones, plenty of social media marketing podcasts that will have new tips based on new features that, for example, Instagram has added reels and stuff now and YouTube has shorts. So there's podcasts with social media experts that sort of touch on new and exciting things in online and social media world and how you can take advantage of that. So they're always good because they're always up to date and fresh.
Exactly. And it's good to listen to those on a regular basis, because you have some of those people that have now been doing YouTube or podcasts for 5 to 8 years. They've really sort of built up that knowledge and they've done that trial and error for you to figure out what works and what doesn't work. So it's always helpful to listen to multiple different types of podcasts with different types of viewpoints as well, especially when it comes to that social media type thing, because there's just so much out there that it's good to get all those different opinions. That way you can sort of adapt it and incorporate it into your own one. That way it'll sort of help you, I guess, jump that little bit further rather than trying to trial and error yourself when you know someone's already done it before.
Yeah, and I think that's where we maybe able to step in our small niche, providing value from our experience based on the topics we're going to discuss and topics we're interested in. Not to say they're fixed topics or niches. They might expand over time. Obviously, people change, the interests change. The podcast and the YouTube channel will obviously evolve and change over time as well, which it has done now in 2021. So yeah, we've got a lot to provide. I think the main 4 or 5 topics we're going to discuss are travel. So we love traveling, even though a lot of the borders and countries are locked down at the moment, but we love traveling.
Going on mini adventures or taking Archie for really, really nice walks through the bushlands and everything. I'd really like to get in a little bit more extensive hiking this year, which would be good. Get that fitness level up.
Yeah. So how would we incorporate that into the podcast? Just talk about ways of traveling on a budget and stuff like that? Or?
Yeah, definitely, because secretly I hate spending money. But if that money isn't going to waste or it's going to be spent on something that you're going to actually get a good use out of, then I don't mind. But other than that, like we really try to save costs. So whether we go to places that are free, low cost, all that kind of thing, like if you travel yourself in your car, all that kind of thing, you do cut down your costs quite a bit. But we can always talk through it on the podcast anyway about our experiences and good places that we go to.
Yeah, so you can see like the visual component on one of our YouTube vlogs, for example, and then we might go into more detail on the podcast about just different ways of saving money and just have a general chat about it. So travel, really big one. Hopefully borders open up and we can travel a little bit more.
Yes, that would be a little bit exciting. DIY, so mainly around the sustainability of DIY. So we pick up a lot of our furniture secondhand, so whether it's on Facebook Marketplace, op shops, things like that. And a lot of stuff that you do pick up might not be in the best condition, but if you do see that potential to refurbish it, to sand it back, you really get some extra value out of that as well. And I find a lot of fun using my hands and working around, but you have that before picture and you have that after picture, and yeah, it's super, super rewarding.
And that's something we're both quite new to. My parents are quite handy and nifty. They got a nice sort of workspace in their garage.
They do.
100 tools. And
so many. Every time I go there, I'm just like, I want all these tools.
Yeah, circular saws and all that sort of woodworking stuff. And it's probably something I smirked at growing up. It was like, oh, it's like boring, like woodwork and stuff. But as time goes on and I get older, I'm probably becoming more like my parents than I'd like to admit. So that stuff is interesting. Like you said, we can repurpose stuff, find it for cheap, fix it up, potentially resell or keep it for ourselves.
Yeah.
So yeah, DIY.
Yeah.
Plenty to learn for us because we have no idea what we're doing.
That's actually really interesting because like my dad, he used to own like a cane warehouse, like a furniture store and everything, and he did a lot of like furniture building and stuff. Maybe that's where I get that little bit of passion from. Always watching him growing up, trying to fix up little cane furniture, spray painting, all that kind of stuff. But I did study woodworking in high school, which I really enjoyed. So I did D&T. So I have a little bit of knowledge with that kind of stuff, but most of my knowledge does come from YouTube tutorials.
Well, that's the thing. We're going to learn and we're going to be able to share that with you guys on the podcast and the videos on the YouTube?
On the YouTubes? On the tube of the U's.
So travel, a bit of DIY stuff, which sort of ties into our thrifting, our sort of latest obsession and passion. So basically we're part-time thrifters, resellers. We, like you said before, we both work full-time in retail. On our days off, we go thrifting or go to op shops, as they call them here in Australia. Find secondhand goods that are in good condition or like...
potential
repurposable condition. That's sort of what we enjoy doing on our days off. So we buy secondhand clothes and toys and furniture and stuff like that. But yeah, that sort of ties into the sustainability and secondhand stuff.
Yeah, being just eco-conscious in general. So personally, pretty much I'm super proud. Over 2020, I had a goal of not buying any clothes brand new. I think I bought maybe one pair of shoes brand new because I had to. But pretty much every other single piece of clothing I bought was secondhand. So I'm a big believer in trying not to support fast fashion. So I definitely love shopping once a week at the op shops. I do quite enjoy that. Just once a week if we can. But also love vintage clothes as well. Like finding those vintage clothes, super, super dope.
Yeah, they always got a fun story behind them. And it's a lot more fun than finding
like a Levi's pair of jeans or something like that.
Or a DVD or something, like the t-shirts. One, it's a piece of nostalgia. Two, it's got a story. Three, it's like artwork essentially.
Yeah, it is.
That you can wear. Like everyone loves art and stuff on the wall, but you can't go and express that in the real world. So that's sort of like I like vintage t-shirts and stuff as well.
Yeah,
we are quite new to it. We're still learning every day. But yeah, all that sort of sustainability, secondhand stuff we're really passionate about.
Yeah.
So we have DIY, we have travel.
Yeah.
We have like thrifting and just being savvy with not buying new stuff, I guess.
We also do quite like Food, big fans of food. So we might have a little bit of cooking here and there, maybe not too much, but a big thing for us is like meal prepping. That saves us a whole bunch of money in the long run as well. So not only do we meal prep for ourselves, we also meal prep for our dog Archie, which saves us money in the long run because having a pet can be expensive. Yeah, we're very conscious of the footprint that we put on this world as well. And if we can incorporate that not only into our side business, our daily lives, the education not education, but like the information that we have and can share, it's something that I'm really looking forward to.
Cool. So I'm pretty excited.
Yeah.
I guess now we just have to figure out the sort of format of the podcast. Obviously, it's going to be a trial and error type of thing.
Yeah.
I would like to keep them to about 30 minutes, which is a nice time frame. It's a commute to work. It's a quick mowing of the lawn.
Quick mowing of the lawn.
Mowing of the lawn. Potentially just a mowing without the whippersnip around the edges in 30 minutes.
Yeah.
But nice little chunks that aren't going to take up too much of our time and too much of your time. We might try and aim for 2 10-minute segments if we can sort of think of
things to talk about.
A segment to talk about. And then I'm thinking about doing like a review segment at the end.
Ooh, I like that. So whether it's books that we've read, podcasts that we listen to,
tools that we use, resources, items,
things that we find helpful that have assisted us in the tasks that we do. Yeah.
Because you can always post on Instagram, I use this, I don't know, Stanley knife.
Yes.
Cool. That's a great Stanley knife. But if we can dive into it a bit more, potentially show the real value and give our honest thoughts on things, I think that'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, I think so. Because there's always these little extra bits that we try to do to really improve, I guess, not only the experience for ourselves, but experiences for listeners, viewers, our customers with our side business. We always try to put that little bit of attention to detail when we can, because we think it just makes a lot of difference in the long run.
Knowing you've gone that extra mile definitely is the payoff, you know?
Yeah. We wouldn't be Look Mum Hustling if we weren't always hustling in some degree.
Trying to hustle.
Yeah, trying to hustle. Yeah, that was something that we really struggled with in 2020. We did like our work schedules changed.
And the artwork fell down.
It did fall down. All right, we'll just keep on going. Great episode 1. Yep. For those that are listening, our artwork in the background just fell down. So awesome. Yep. What was I talking about?
I can't remember.
Alrighty. Let's put it on pause for a second.
We'll be right back after a short break.
Yeah.
All right, so that's a good start. The set is falling apart on episode 1, but we'll cope.
We will cope. All right. So what I was talking about, so in 2020, we really struggled with the timing that we had. So like our work schedules changed, and we only found out through pretty much the whole of last year, we had one day off together. And most of that one day off together was spent sourcing for our side business. And we didn't really have a lot of time to create content, to even focus on ourselves as well. So our relationship, our personal lives, things like that. We just found out, even though 2020 had a lot of free time with people staying at home, we found out that we were just busy non-stop.
Yeah, we're actually busier. But I think now that we've acknowledged that, 2021 is going to be a good chance for us to keep the business going and keep momentum and hustle going, but also just tone it back a bit and slow things down in our personal lives. That's sort of why we're cutting the videos back to one a fortnight and the podcast to one a fortnight as well, just to give ourselves a chance to slow down and put some like actual effort into the production of the content we're doing and into the business. So yeah, 2021, here we go. Let's do it.
I know, let's do it. I'm so excited.
All right, I think that will pretty much be enough of an intro for episode 1. Sort of gives everyone a nice overview of the direction that we're going and what to expect from us.
Yep, who we are as people, our goals, what we've been through, and hopefully what we have to come.
Yeah, cool. So if you like us and you like what you've heard for the last 20 minutes, 30 minutes, don't forget you can subscribe to us on the Look Mum I'm Hustling podcast on Spotify and Apple Podcast.
Yep. You can also see us on YouTube as well. So with the It's Drew and Sarah on YouTube, you can see the video, you can see the backdrop falling, all the exciting things.
All the good stuff. We're all over social media, Facebook, Instagram as well. And you can see the show notes and links to resources and stuff we've mentioned in this episode on our website. It's Drew and Sarah .com.
Yeah, .com.
/ podcast, I guess.
Yeah, easy. Thank you so much for listening / watching us today, and stay tuned for